I appreciate y'all checking me out. This is your boy JMak, checking back in. We're doing a sound test right now. Oh my God. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy JMak. As you can see from the title, today's topic is why I decided to leave the States. So I've been excited to talk about this, and hopefully I can give some good insight, give some good information, and yeah, I'm just gonna dive right in. First things first, my life at the time. I decided to leave the States in 2018, so I've been international now for about 5 years. So I'm from Texas. I'm from Dallas, Texas. That's my hometown, and Dallas is dope. You know what I mean? Like, especially now, it's grown a lot over the years. A lot more people are there. People moving from all over the place. California, a lot of West Coast folks. New York people coming out there buying houses and whatnot. So good weather. It's hot. Beautiful people. Great barbecue and food, all that kind of good stuff. And at that time, I was working 2 jobs. I had a corporate job that I really enjoyed. I was working for a black family, the best bosses to this day that I've ever had. And then I had a side job. I was working at a bar, a couple of bars out in Deep Ellum. Shout out to the Armory and in Ruins, you know what I mean? So Peter and Dan, the owners out there, shout out to those cats for looking out for your boy. Made a lot of friends there. In fact, probably the number one thing that I miss about the States are my friends and my family, obviously. I got a lot of family from East Texas, from Kilgore, and then all my friends and stuff back in Dallas. So I miss those cats. I mean, especially that summer when I left, I was hanging out with them quite a bit in Deep Ellum. Deep Ellum was growing like crazy at that time. I was at Armory, which is a bar there, but then they were building Ruins, and that was just getting started and just opening up. So spent a lot of time with my friends from there, hitting up pools and parties and drinking and all the normal stuff, all the good stuff. But I had a dope apartment. I was living in Bishop Arts District, this high rent district. Now at the time, I was on a waiting list to move into my place for like 2 years. I stayed at another apartment before that for about 1.5 years, and then when I finally got the okay to move into the place I got into, the place was dope. I was so excited. So things were good. Had the car, had the crib, had the jobs, the money. I was single at the time, so the dating thing was cool. But with all that being said, I was just really unhappy. There was something that was missing internally for me. I wanted to do more. I felt like a hamster on that wheel, and you're just doing the same thing over and over again and running and just literally just working to pay bills. Like, you go to work, you pay bills. You go to work, you pay bills. I wasn't really taking a lot of breaks. Again, I was doing 2 jobs, so even on the weekends, I was at the bar. Once or twice during the week, I was working an evening shift. Like, I was really, really busy, and maybe that had something to do with it. Other than China, I do think Americans work harder than anybody. Maybe I'm biased because I'm from there, but everyone's working. Like, there's not really much else to do. Like, America's a good time. It's dope. It's a fun place, but it's expensive. Like, you got to pay. I'm in Dallas. My sister lives in New York. I got a lot of friends in California, like Miami, Chicago. When you go to these places, I mean, you'll go out to eat and spend, $150, $200 on dinner on accident. If you're on a date or something, like, it's insane. So you got to work. We got all this fly stuff, but you got to earn it. So for me, it became a situation of I felt stagnant. I needed a change. Now, I wasn't even thinking about going overseas at that time. I just knew that I wanted something different. I knew I needed to shake something up. So that's basically where I was at that time. Moving on, the only thing that I was thinking of initially was leaving Dallas. I was like, you know what? I'm from here. I want to see something different. Maybe I'll go to LA. I had a friend of mine, D. Me and him had discussed being roommates and moving out there. Because again, LA I wasn't going to go out there and pay for rent by myself off the bat. So I was going to move in with him, and then we were looking for jobs online, and we did that for a couple weeks. And once we started seeing the rental prices and what they were taxing for places out there. I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just visit LA. I don't know if I want to I want to live out there. It's too crazy. So that's when I came up with the bright idea and the light bulb went off. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go international, and I know exactly where I want to go. Japan. I was super excited. I was like, this is it. Like, I love anime. Like, the Japanese history and culture was super interesting to me. I was a big Nintendo fan growing up. I did some internships with them. I was hell bent on Japan, and I knew how to do it. I got online and I was looking for, you got to get a job first. And I was looking at this program called the JET program. And one of the things you had to do at JET was go through this long application process. And then after you do that, you have to get letters of recommendation. Like it was pretty intense. The Japanese culture I've learned now after kind of being in Asia for a bit, they're pretty intense. And one of my letters, shout out to June Jones. I'm going a little off topic here, but in my younger days, I used to make music, and I did the theme song for the SMU football team 2 years in a row. Shout out to SMU, JMO, Mom Dukes, my mom's with there. And at that time, when I did the theme song, Emmanuel Sanders was on that team, Cole Beasley. I got to meet all these cats, and me and June got cool. The head coach at that time was June Jones. He had left Hawaii and came over to SMU, and I needed a letter of recommendation. And he in Hawaii, there's huge Polynesian culture out there, and then he was telling me basically how close he was to Japan, and he knew some people out there and whatnot. So I was like, man, can you write me a letter of recommendation? And I was very, very confident I was moving to Japan. So I did all this work. Everything's going fantastic. I'm already mentally, my mind is in Tokyo. You know what I'm saying? So I'm Tokyo drifting, and nah, it just didn't pan out. I got rejected from the program.
Hell no, to the no, yeah, to the no.
I didn't get in, and at that point, now we're talking LA. I thought about doing that. That wasn't gonna work. Japan, I was hell bent on that. That didn't work. So at that point, I was like, screw it. Let me just sit down, lock in on what I got going on, or whatever. And then D, my partner again, he hit me up. It was like, have you thought about any other places? I was like, not really. If I can't go out there, I really don't want to go nowhere. And he was like, you should look into China, because that program that I was going to do in the JET program was like a teaching. You go out there to teach. So he was like, well, if you're going to teach, why don't you go to China? And I just, again, the comparison to me between Japan and China, it just wasn't even close. It's like a letdown. It's like, I could.
I guess
I could go to China, but I wasn't too geeked about it. And then I have another buddy, Schlees, Justin. I hit him up, and because he stayed out there. He lived in Shanghai for a couple years, actually. And to my surprise, after having a conversation with him, and hopefully this channel can do this for anybody watching, someone that looks like you or has a similar experience, or someone that you can relate to, you see someone else do it, you're like, well, hell, if they can do it, I can do it too. So Justin was like, man, it's dope. Like, it's this huge metropolitan city. Like, there's people there from all over the world. And he was telling me about all the experiences that he had, the people that he met, the women he had met. And all, it was just, my view of China and what I thought it was going to be was not at all anything that was coming out of his mouth. It was just completely different. So I was like, damn, that low-key sounds kind of dope. So then I went on, what everyone does. I went to the University of YouTube and started watching YouTube videos about people living in Japan. And I was just very surprised by a lot of the stuff that I saw. So at that point, that's when, my mind started ticking again, and I started thinking, maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something that can happen, and maybe I'll move to China.
I gotta stay true. Don't be a dumb motherfucker, 'cause it's crazy at the door. Let a true thug niggas see your heart. Niggas can't see.
You see your heart. Where your heart at now, hard motherfucker?
Right after that is actually when I had to make a decision. So a month had gone by at that time. I'd done some research. I talked to a few guys. I even started reaching out to recruiters and whatnot. But I was still on the fence. I was just like, it's a big move. I mean, to just drop everything that you're doing and move to a completely new country. Again, it sounds cool. So some people it might sound like a dream, but the implementation of doing that, it ain't easy. Like there's a lot of stuff that you gotta do. So, but the first thing you gotta do is decide. Like I'm the type of person where I go back and forth a lot, but when my decision is made, I stick to that decision. So I'm old school. My mom used to make me write stuff down and always do the pros and the cons of a situation. So I wrote down all the positives that I thought can happen from me living in another country. I wrote down the negatives of me leaving, and I kind of went back and forth, and I went with my heart and how I was feeling at that time. And I just decided to do it. I said, screw it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna give this thing a shot. So, and that's how I started realizing there's invisible chains is what I call them. Basically things that hold you down from doing certain things you want to do. So in my personal situation, even when I made the decision to go, there were a lot of things still around me that I had to handle first before I left. So it's one thing for me to get on camera and say, oh, you should look overseas. There's all these different opportunities and the cost of living. We'll get into all that a bit later. But the process of actually getting out, you got to do some stuff. So I couldn't just leave. I just signed that lease for that place I was just talking about. Like I was waiting on a wait list for 2 years to get this dream place in Bishop Arts that I really wanted, and I loved it. And to this day, the two things I miss, friends and family, one box. The other box is my apartment. My apartment was dope. You know what I'm saying? It was so dope, and it was hard to get. So I was like, I have to finish the lease for that, and then I also had to add a car note. Again, there's bills. You got your phone, you got student loans. There's all this stuff that's going on. You just can't up and just leave. So even when I made the decision, I had to handle all that stuff. Like I had to pay all these bills off, finish my lease, save up some money. I had to tell my job, stack up all this. I started taking on more shifts at that point at my second job at the bar because I knew I didn't want to go to this other country with no extra bread in my pocket. I had a little bit of savings, but I was like, no, let's kick that up just to make sure if things go sideways, I don't want to be screwed. You're going to the other part of the world. Like I didn't know what to expect. So even with that being said though, the deciding factor for me was like, if this doesn't work out, I can just come back home. I mean, I have a college degree, I have experience. Like worst come to worst, if I fall flat on my face, I'll just come back home and get a job. I'm gonna end up doing what I was already doing before I left anyway. So why not try? I don't wanna wait till I'm 50, 60, 70 years old before I start living my dreams. I wanna start doing some of this stuff sensibly now. So I made the decision and that was it. So after the decision was made, now I had to figure out how the hell I'm gonna get out. So that basically broke into 4 parts: job, visa, flight, savings. First was the job. At the end of the day, especially for men and women, but guys know you gotta have your paper right. So I was like, I'm not going anywhere without a gig. You know what I mean? So how am I gonna get this job? How am I gonna get involved? Like, where is all this gonna come from? And then Justin was one of the first guys to ask me if I had a WeChat. I didn't even know what WeChat was. I'm like, what? So basically it's like an all-encompassing social media network that they use in China for everything. Like you can pay with it, you communicate with people. Like there's so many things encompassed into this one application. Everyone has it on their phone, their laptop, or whatever. Most people use it on their phones. So he was like, get on WeChat, you can find some recruiters and they can help you find a job. So I was like, all right, great. So that's what I did. I went on WeChat and I went on a couple of different websites, and then if you're a native speaker with a degree, like you can and again, if you guys want to get more details about how to do all of this and literally step-by-step set this up, please leave a comment below and I'll do so. I'm thinking about putting together a PDF, like a kind of like a pamphlet to kind of give people step-by-step and refer some recruiters, some people so you don't have to go through all the ups and downs that I did. I went through some good folks, I went through some bad. Again, I was making every mistake that you can make, things that you're gonna encounter, your sex, your age, your race, like all that kind of, I know it front to back. So where I'm at now compared to where I was at that time is night and day. I'm at a fantastic international school right now. We'll fast forward to that later. But anyway, found some recruiters, found a job, and then the school helps you get the visa. Same thing. If you want to hear some more information about that, I'll probably do another video about that in the future because it's encompassing. Again, I had never lived in another country. We don't even do this in the States, I don't think. But like when I had to get my work visa to go to China, you got to do background checks. They want to know if you've been to jail or have any kind of issues with the law. Medical checks. I wasn't going to the doctor like that until I started traveling internationally because they check blood work. They check your shit. Okay, like you got to have everything together. So yeah, if you're not on point, they're not gonna let you in. Now that's a whole nother rant I can talk about with the States. I'm like, they're making me do all this stuff to go to China. I'm like, do we do this for people to come to the States? But anyway, so you got to do all that. The school assisted me heavily with the visa. And then of course, once the visa's set up, depending on the job that you get, you'll have to get a flight allowance, like they'll pay for your flight, or you got to come out of pocket. So again, at that time, I was green as an apple. I didn't know nothing. So I had to pay for that flight. Knowing what I know now, I should have took a job that would just cover the flight. They'll give you like a flight bonus at the end of your contract, like when that year was over. I was at a public school in a city called Wuxi. And, so again, that's another reason why I had to have some paper to get out there for the flight. So that was taken care of. And then, of course, the savings. I wanted to make sure I went out there with a little something in my pocket. So those are the 4 main steps. But then after that's done, you can go. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's really nothing holding you back. So at that point, I hopped on I paid off all the stuff I talked about before and told my job I was leaving. And I told my friends I was going. Everyone thought I was crazy. And just like, what? This is insane. Are you running away? And what's the problem? You got all this stuff. Like, why do you want to? I'm just like, dude, I'm not happy. I want to do something else. I want to take on another challenge. So most people were supportive. Like Dion says, I have some receipts of some people that were talking down on the player. But it is what it is. Everything isn't for everyone. And I had to do what I felt at the time was right for me. So I did. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck all that Republican shit. I'm moving to China tomorrow. And to bring all this to a nice little conclusion, first and foremost, I have to admit this is one of the best decisions that I've ever made. I'm happier now. My quality of living is, follow me on Instagram, original JMak. Check me out. You can, again, I do posts and stuff on there. All of this kind of spawned out of me traveling. Of course, COVID hit, and I got even more opportunities to travel. I'll talk about that as well on some other videos. I had a lot of people asking questions like, what are you doing? How are you doing? Like, what the hell is going on? So I'll explain all of that. But it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Going to Morehouse and deciding to leave the States. They're up there. They're up there in the top 5 for sure. So for me, it's been great. I've been overseas now for 5 years. Like I said, everything I'm telling you about was back in 2018. It's currently 2023. So time has flown by. I'm happier. I'm in a better mood. I'm more excited about my daily routines and whatnot. I'm meeting a lot of new interesting people, seeing places I've never seen before, picked up on some different languages. It's for me, again, I'm into this sort of thing. So for me, it's been great. What to expect moving forward. I really want to talk about all the other places I've been. I've been Ukraine, just came back from Russia. That's why I hadn't made any videos and posts for a while, because I wanted to make sure I was out of the country before I started talking about that. But Russia, Colombia, Mexico, Philippines, Bali, Indonesia. I've had a good ride. I've been blessed. I've been very lucky, and I'm excited to tell people about what I was doing, the mistakes I made, things to look out for, things to do and not to do. But it's been great. So I'll be putting all this on my page soon. I really appreciate you guys checking in, but for me, I decided to leave. It was a good decision for me. I'm glad I did it. And for those of you that are on the fence, man, just do your own research. Take care of your own situation. But if you do have any questions, again, you can leave comments in the comment section down below, or you can send me a tweet or X, Original JMak. I check my Instagram daily. You can hit me up on there, Original JMak on Instagram. All my socials and stuff are up. So just give me a shout. Appreciate you guys taking out the time to rock with your boy. And I'm out of here. Peace.